causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Welcome to the Wednesday of Holy Week, and today at the cross, we meet the first of three men for whom the cross was a moment of conversion. Simon appears in only one verse of each of three Gospels. Mark gives us the most details in chapter 15, verse 21. A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. To fully humiliate the prisoner, the Romans forced condemned to carry their own means of execution through the streets to the place where they would be crucified. 4 soldiers would surround the prisoner, and another would walk in front carrying a placard that named the crime for which that person was being executed. Often they would take a winding route through the city so that as many people as possible would be warned about the fate of those who broke Roman laws. Jesus, exhausted from an all-night trial, weakened by 40 lashes that ripped the flesh from his body, and bleeding from a crown of thorns that was rammed onto his head, does not have the strength to carry his cross. Let that thought sink in for a moment. Did Jesus fall? Did he collapse under the weight of the wood? Were the soldiers worried he might die before they got to pound the nails through his hands? Or were they just in a hurry to get the deed done and they needed this parade to go faster? Whatever the reason, Jesus, God incarnate, King of heaven, the one who powerfully spoke the universe into existence, needed help in his moment of suffering. Did not God come to bear our burdens? So why does he need the help of a random stranger? Simon being forced by the Romans to carry Jesus' cross is a reminder of the humility of God. God does not flex his omnipotent muscles in the moment of his own agony, but instead allowed a man to help him carry the cross. This strange, beautiful, mysterious, and surprising thing about God is that he so often does not act as one would expect a God to act. As Paul wrote to the Philippians, Jesus did not consider equality with God something to hold on to, but emptied himself, humbled himself, and accepted the help of his own creation. Simon was from Cyrene, a city of about 100,000 people in Libya, North Africa. He was probably coming into Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. He was just coming into the city. He had no knowledge of all that had happened throughout the night. He knew nothing about the trial. He had not heard the crowds shout, "Crucify him!" He had not witnessed the beatings, the scourging, the mockery. He had his day planned out. He was up early to do his morning prayers like all Orthodox Jews. He got washed and dressed, and he was almost at the temple. If he had been 3 minutes earlier or later, if he had chosen to enter by a different city gate, if he had stooped down to tighten his sandal, the soldier might never have seen him, and we might never have heard of his name. Why the soldiers chose Simon, no one can really know. Perhaps he was the only one in the crowd who wasn't mocking or weeping. Perhaps he just liked the only one close by strong enough. Whatever it was, the soldiers pointed their spear at Simon, and suddenly he was going the opposite direction from that in which he intended. When a Roman soldier asked, you did not get to debate the issue. He was compelled. Just to touch the cross would defile Simon. So even after he was done, he could not go to the temple. His day was ruined. It had to be a disappointment. I expect as he picked up the cross, Simon was thinking, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He probably rehearsed the line to tell his friends later, I was just going to worship at the temple and suddenly I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's only one verse on Simon. We don't hear anything more about him. But something that Mark writes tells us that something more did happen. Simon, father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by and they forced him to carry the cross. Why does Mark tell us the names of Simon's sons? Many scholars believe that Mark was written in Rome for Romans. The thought is that Mark tells them Simon's sons' names because people there know them. They were part of the church. In fact, as Paul writes to the Romans in chapter 16, he says, "Greet Rufus, chosen in the Lord." Could that Rufus be Simon's son? It seems pretty clear that Alexander and Rufus were known to the people to whom Mark was writing his gospel, that they were part of the church. He includes their names as witnesses to the authenticity of his writing. Perhaps they had heard their dad tell the story of the day he carried Jesus' cross. Perhaps they were there with their father when he was compelled, and they watched him carry the cross. Whichever, it was a moment that changed the life of their family. Sometime between the day of the crucifixion and the writing of Mark's gospel, Simon and his family became followers of Jesus. Something he saw in that man on the cross, something he heard when the news spread of Jesus' resurrection, led Simon and his family to become followers of Christ. That moment when a soldier forced him to change the direction of his travel also changed the direction of Simon's life. Jesus once said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me." Simon's probably the only one who could say he took up Jesus' cross and literally followed him. I'm not sure what inconvenience or change of plans or difficult request God might bring into your day today. But perhaps it will be a moment when you too will meet Jesus. You see, God often breaks in to help us see him in new ways if we are willing to open our eyes and follow Jesus.
Were you there when they crucified